Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Shane Sterling. He is from Raw Vegan Rising, and he is going to tell us how we can actually build muscle, not just on a vegan diet, but on a raw vegan diet. Please welcome to the show. It's very nice to meet you.
Hi, AJ. Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. It is my pleasure to be here and talk to your audience today. I'm really excited.
I can't wait. Like I was saying to you before we logged on, I don't care what kind of vegan somebody is. They can be on my show. I don't care if they eat oil. I don't care if they eat processed food. I don't care if they're raw or cooked or fruitarian. But I am so fascinated by people that eat a raw diet because I couldn't do it, not forever. And I just like, what secret do you guys have that enable you to do that? Because I know that the people that do it, they love it. They look great. You look like amazing. So tell us how you got into this.
Well, it's a multifaceted story, but really the primary reason that keeps me focused and dedicated to a raw vegan lifestyle is for spiritual reasons. It makes me feel more connected. It's just a higher vibrational lifestyle, and it's so distinct that it's hard to justify for myself eating overly processed or overly cooked foods because it just doesn't feel as good. So that's one reason that I really choose to do it. Another reason, though, is because I have a vision. My vision pulls me forward. So instead of like reacting to wanting to lose weight or reacting to emotional traumas and problems and stuffing my face with food and numbing myself out with junk foods and overly processed and cooked foods, I am compelled. I'm compelled. I have a vision for the future of humanity. My vision is that we're a really kind, benevolent species that lives in a very high vibrational state. Light beings, we don't need denser foods like that. We get all of our nutrition from raw foods and juices. Now, I don't know if I've had a vision from the future or if I just am, feeling into this or what. I don't know where it comes from, but I was born with it. I've been vegan most of my life, and it's been a progression getting more and more clean. I focused on detoxification. I've cleaned my gut out extensively in my life. I focus on the cleanest, highest vibrational foods. So for me, my focus is 80% or more living foods in my diet. Now, 100% is great, and it really does kind of take you that next extra level. But I think if most people shoot for 80% or more living foods, they're going to feel that immense benefit. The gut-brain connection is real. And then also we could take it a step further, the gut-brain higher consciousness connection. So the mind, body, spirit connection is something that really radiates on a raw vegan diet. And it keeps me motivated because of how that makes me feel.
You mentioned shoot for 80%. Shane, I'm going to tell you, there's some people that are not eating any percent. There are people, honestly, vegan people that eat no fruits and vegetables in any form, raw or cooked.
Yes, that is true. And that is unfortunate. And I believe there's reasons for that. I think we have emotional traumas that happen to us. Most of us, well, it's part of the human experience to experience trauma and heartbreak and disappointment and betrayal, and we're all born innocent. So at some point, every single human goes through some sort of heartbreak and betrayal. These original wounds and traumas are lodged in our body, and the subconscious mind is always trying to bring these up to solve the trauma, solve the problem. So we're constantly re-experiencing our traumas until we deal with them. That's why we turn to food to numb ourselves out. And it can get severe where we have food addictions and eating disorders even. And that is kind of what I think our mainstream society is experiencing with food: fast food, junk food, processed food, overconsumption of animal products, overconsumption of cooked foods is just another form of avoiding what we don't want to feel, avoiding our original wounding that wants to come up. The subconscious mind will bring it up, but then we numb it out. We're like, oh, I don't want to feel that. It's too painful. So the great thing about raw food is it just gives us an opportunity to face ourselves square on. We feel the feelings because we can't hide. There's nowhere to run or numb out with raw foods. It's really literally like facing the reality, and it's stark at first. And then this wave crashes over us and it's gone. It's just like any wave. It's there and it's big and it's ominous. And then it crashes and it's gone. It could take a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a few years. Either way, if we face it, we're going to heal. So I believe a raw vegan diet is emotionally healing. I believe that we go through an emotional detoxification process with raw food. If we can stick to a high percentage, like I said, 80% or more living food, we will experience an emotional detoxification where these original wounds and traumas come up to be healed, faced, and felt by us. And if we take that opportunity in combination with raw foods, with a healthy diet, facing our fears, that's next level. That's what I've done. That's what motivates me. That's what inspires me. And that's really my vision of how a raw vegan diet helps us evolve, helps us heal, and helps us feel that spiritual connection. And we're all spiritual. Every human has some relationship with a higher power or higher self or inner self or something. Most people, and I believe that can really, truly be heightened. That sense of oneness. I mean, a lot of spiritual leaders throughout history have talked about God being, an omnipresent consciousness, like oneness, you could call it. Well, there's no better way to feel oneness than to eat a raw food diet, because it activates our cells to feel the living vibrations in all the other cells. It's literally like turning on your cellular matrix with the living bioactive photons and electrons that are in the food. If we don't cook the food, it's literally activating on a molecular level. There's biophotons. This is measurable by science too. This is not something I'm making up, and this is not woo-woo stuff. This is not, like spiritual new age stuff. This is literally science. And then the enzymatic activity in food also, the enzymes are so key because it brings the electrons into the cells to produce more energy more easily, so we can regenerate more easily. It's part of why I think a raw vegan diet can help us reverse health issues, degenerative conditions, and even aging. And AJ, you mentioned my age. I'm almost 50. I turned 50 in a few months. And most
That's
people
amazing.
think,
I was going to say, you look like you're 20.
Yeah, thank you. So many people think I'm like maybe in my 20s or 30s. I get that all the time. I was standing in front of a young woman the other day. We were talking, and she said, "How old are you?" And I said, "Why don't you guess?" She was 20, by the way, standing right in front of me. And I said, "Take a guess." And she guessed 26. I was like, that's cool. That's half my age. And this wasn't somebody looking at me online. This was somebody standing in front of me in person. And that is because I've avoided animal products my whole life. I've focused on detoxification, cleaning out the cellular waste in my body, okay, through the lymphatic system and through the bowels. Raw food helps with that, with the bowels, okay? And then focusing on higher vibrational living foods, less dense foods, juices. I have a green juice with me right here. I love the higher vibrational raw foods because it just helps the body eliminate easily. And that's the whole key to youthfulness. People think it's like protein and collagen that helps the skin and hair. It's not. It's elimination. If we can help the body eliminate the acids and the waste from the metabolic processes, then we will remain young forever. The fountain's youth.
So you never ate animal products? You were raised vegan?
No, I was not raised vegan. Unfortunately, my parents were fairly normal, a little bit health conscious, maybe slightly. My dad had no health consciousness at all. He was a big meat eater, meat and potatoes, born and raised in, the 40s and 50s. But by the time I was, 10 and 12, and as a young teenager, I started to really think animal products were gross, didn't like it at all. And then by the time I was 17, I went completely vegan, strict vegan, and I was vegan for like many, many years, 13 years, strict vegan after that point. And then I started to falter. In around 30 years old, I was having some breakdowns in my life, some crises and things that were just overwhelming, and my bandwidth kind of got maxed out. And I went back to eating some animal products for a period of time, and I regret it. I don't think it helped me. I developed health problems over those years that I was eating animal products, and I had to come back to a vegan diet and use raw foods to actually reverse some skin inflammation and some gut problems I was having from eating animal products. So the raw foods helped detox my gut, helped reverse the health problems I had. And that's where I really said, look, if raw foods helps my body regenerate and reverse health problems, then it's just going to be the maintenance diet for me moving forward. I need to just eat more raw foods to have the lifestyle, to have the health and the vibrancy I want well into old age. So that's what I've done. And, you know, to be honest, when I went raw vegan, I said to myself, how am I going to do this? I don't have anyone around me who's going to support me here. No one else in my family or friends circle would even understand what I was doing. So I started a group. I started my group, Raw Vegan Heroes, to be my accountability system. And today there's 1,000 members in Raw Vegan Heroes that come to this group to be part of the community for accountability, support, and the knowledge of how to do it. So we don't have to wonder how to be raw vegan. We just have to have the group and the accountability and the community around us to help us understand that this is normal. This is not I'm not going against the grain. I'm not like fighting an uphill battle here. This is normal. It's literally aligning with nature, with natural law. All foods are raw before we cook them. So, and it makes such a huge difference. If anyone is wondering, well, how could I feel better on raw food? How can I detox my gut? How can I look younger and feel better like Shane does? It's accountability. It's not even the food. If you get the accountability first and have the people around you supporting you, cheering you on, saying, this is the right path for you, then you're going to naturally just know what to do. You'll feel empowered to choose fruits and salads and nuts and seeds and make your own, you know, nut cheeses and fermented vegetables and all the wonderful things, and sprouts, beautiful salads and amazing smoothies like I eat. That will come naturally to you. I honestly think this isn't something in the mind. This is a knowing, a deep knowing. A raw vegan diet is within all of us. And it's just like allowing that wisdom and that truth to come up and to the forefront of our consciousness. It's not currently, it's buried by the pressures of society. You know, society puts so much pressure on us to eat animal products and these false narratives of health. High protein diets, especially animal-based diets, will cause premature aging, hair loss, bad skin, gut problems, toxicity, acidosis in the body, leads to diabetes and heart disease, all these things, as plant-based people know. But really, if we take it even a step further, it's like bringing in the living foods as much as possible. And then it actually starts to detox out deeper levels of our tissues, our bone marrow, our brain tissues can detox. And this is what I'm talking about, kind of higher cognitive connection. Imagine if your brain detoxes on raw food, how connected to source, to God, to the universe you will feel. That's what it's all about. That's why you do it, you know?
Wow. Well, why is it so hard then?
Microbes, bacteria in the gut, these ancient bacteria that are here billions and billions of years before humans ever were, and they're in our gut and they know what they want and they know how to get it. So it's literally like just changing the gut microbiome. And there's a process to it. It took me 2 years to adjust my gut microbiome completely to where I felt good consistently on raw food and had no digestive issues whatsoever and really, truly felt good. 2 years, 2-year journey. In the first few months is where the gut bacteria have to die off. And there's a lot of problems. This is where people get freaked out because you're not going to feel good. Your energy is going to plummet. You might have detox symptoms like we all hear about, where you get, you know, maybe hair fall, bags under your eyes, you lose weight, all kinds of toxicity issues. This is a detox phase. And what most people don't understand is if you just stick with it, if you force your body to adapt, your body will thrive on the other side. It's like building muscle mass. I have good muscle mass. I have a black t-shirt on, but I'm like 200 pounds. I'm 6'2", 200-pound man. I lift weights at the gym. I'm very strong, all raw. And I forced my body to adapt to the stress I'm putting it under, which looks good to me. You know, if I take my shirt off, you'd be like, damn, Shane looks good. But that's because I forced my body to adapt to it. Yeah, and there's a benefit to it. So if you force your gut to adapt to raw food, you'll get the benefit, which is beautiful skin and feeling amazing and having energy when you go to bed and when you wake up. and like impressing all your friends with that you like look 10 years younger and all this stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. Well, like I say, everybody I've met that does raw foods, they're very passionate about it. Now, you mentioned living foods. There's a difference between raw food and living foods, aren't there?
I like the term living foods because it doesn't put the pressure on the I don't know. I think there's a dogma around raw food that isn't so easy to understand, but everybody can understand what living food is. Living food, because ultimately those are the components that we lose when we cook the food, is the living components. So there's gases, there's hormones, there's oxygen, there's enzymes, volatile minerals, volatile gases in there. Those are all lost when we cook them. We don't even understand what we're losing when we denature the food. So denature is the word I use for cooked. I don't really like to say, don't eat cooked food. People can do what they want, but denaturing the food actually destroys the volatile, subtle minerals, oxygen, hormones, enzymes, and even the electrons that are inside of the molecules, and the cells of the food is literally molecularly changed. And it creates a low-grade immune response. It creates a low-grade digestive agitation and inflammation. A subtle level, but even cooked squash, cooked potatoes, cooked green beans, staple cooked vegan vegetables has an inflammatory effect because it's molecularly changed. So, it's better to not have these low-grade inflammation issues going on. And, this is why people on a plant-based diet can still experience severe health problems like, weight gain or inflammation issues, and you can still be vegan and have problems like diabetes. And this is because of, agitation from molecularly altered food, ultimately.
Wow. Do you think it's safe to raise children on a raw or living diet or a fruitarian diet?
That's a great question. This is something people always throw in my face and say this isn't adequate for children. A fruitarian diet? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I am not a fruitarian. I don't claim that a fruit-only diet is a good idea in any way, shape, or form, because it's not. We need a balance of macronutrients in our diet. Okay, macronutrients are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Whether you're eating cooked, whether you're eating vegan, whether you're eating omnivore, you're still eating proteins, carbs, and fats. If you're aware of your proteins, carbs, and fats, you can get the same ratio of proteins, carbs, and fats on a raw diet, a cooked vegan diet, or an animal-based diet. It doesn't matter what diet it is, you have to focus on the macronutrients. If you're a fruitarian, for instance, and you eat no fruit or only fruit, you get no protein and you get no fat. Well, proteins and fats are critical macronutrients that our body needs in good, abundant quantity. So if we focus on a raw diet, understanding that we can get all of our macronutrients from raw foods, just the same as cooked foods, except they're raw and not destroyed on a molecular level, then we can just say, oh, I'm going to get 20% of my calories from fats, from nuts and seeds. I'm going to get 20% of my calories from proteins, from greens and nuts and seeds, other sources. Superfoods are high in protein, spirulina, and of course carbohydrates from raw fruits and vegetables. So as long as we are raising a child with an understanding of the macronutrients, there's literally no danger whatsoever. In fact, we have a very high misunderstanding, miseducation of our protein needs in our society, because our meat and dairy industry is highly subsidized by the government. There's advertising programs that these companies must pay into. I mean, the amount of propaganda and advertising pumped into society for the last 100 years that we need to eat animal products and these high protein diets has clouded our vision, clouded us completely. We do not need high protein diets. We need moderate to low protein, moderate to low fat, high carbohydrates, or moderate carbohydrates is really the way to go. A simple carbohydrate-based diet is going to be optimal, because that's the main fuel source of our body. And I know a lot of the keto people, high fat people, get bent out of shape over that, say that we're not supposed to burn carbohydrates for energy, it's supposed to be fat, but that just simply isn't as ideal of a food source for our body. Our brain runs on simple carbohydrates. Our brain evolved from eating fruits. You know, people say we evolved from eating meat. No, it's absolutely not true. We have the teeth and the digestive system of frugivores. We have evolved from fruit eaters. Fruit and the calorie density of simple carbohydrates, the energy availability in simple carbohydrates is what makes us thrive at the highest level. And the bonus is that fruits are simple carbohydrates, high in enzymes, high in water, high in fiber. So it cleans the gut, it's astringent, pulls the lymphatic system, it hydrates the cells. It has the enzymes to bring the electrons into the cell, and simple carbohydrates to fuel our brain with as little digestion as possible. That's why fruit is amazing, but not fruitarian. We want to eat an abundance of fruits along with our tender greens and our sprouts and our nuts and our seeds, preferably soaked or germinated nuts and seeds. And we can enjoy a wide variety of nutrient-dense foods on a raw vegan diet if we know how to do it. And that's where again, we need accountability, we need the support, and we need the knowledge. And then we're there.
You talked about the accountability and support, and Lissa, who's watching live, said, could you please educate me on the concept of being accountable to others? I very much feel I need to be accountable to myself, but the idea of extending that outward really turns me off.
Well, definitely, yeah, because so what we have inside of ourselves, what we give to ourselves is what we have to give to others. We don't have to be accountable to others until we've filled our own cup with abundance, with self-love, with self-care, with intimacy, with ourselves, with our problems. So what we have to really do, Lissa, is face our shadow. If we face our shadow side, these original woundings I was talking about, and the traumas that we all have, and the heartbreak and the betrayal that we all have, if we face that part of ourselves, it's very uncomfortable. It's very, very difficult to do that consciously because our ego wants to avoid it, run, and don't go there. No, don't pay attention to that. It's too painful. But if we do that, it's the highest form of self-care. It's the highest form of self-love. It's the highest form of self-accountability because it's parts of self. It's the wounded child. It's the inner child. I mean, this is real stuff. We know this from psychology. So this is the real work to do. And if we are effective at doing this, we heal ourselves, and then we have something to give to others. In the meantime, while we're doing this shadow work, while we're finding our own inner wounding to heal it, we can get accountability from others who are a little bit further along on the journey. This is very, very important. This is the ancient art of mentorship or apprenticeship. People have been mentoring for millennia, hundreds of thousands of years. We find someone who has gone a little bit before us, and we mentor with them to learn how to cross over these thresholds that we haven't gone over before. And this is the hero's journey. The mythology of the hero's journey is that the hero is called on a mission, on a journey, and they feel the calling in their heart, but they're reluctant and they're flawed and they feel unworthy and incapable of going on the adventure to heed the calling. And so a mentor in the hero's mythology, there's a mentor that shows up that ushers the hero across the threshold of fear into the journey, the unknown. So once the hero crosses into the unknown, the mentor is no longer needed because we find that we go through really what it is in the hero's mythology is a death and rebirth process. This is the shadow work. The former part of ourselves, the old understanding, has to kind of fall away, and from the ashes rises the phoenix, the new version of ourself. This is the path we're all on. Whether we realize it or not, we're all on our own hero's journey. And if we have fear, if we have trepidation, if we feel called but are reluctant, that is normal and it's okay. And what we're doing is we're looking for someone who's gone before us on the journey. And that's what accountability is. That's what I provide in my group, Raw Vegan Heroes. That's exactly what it is. And this is what I strive for. And that's why it's called Raw Vegan Heroes. Because even if I'm not the mentor, maybe somebody reaches out in the group and makes a post saying, I'm in need, I have a fear, I have a question. There's 1,000 other people who maybe are further along on the journey who can chime in and support. It's not about me supporting everyone. It's about a community effort to uplift all of us. We're only as weak as the we're only as weak as the weakest link in the chain, right? I don't know why I had a hard time saying that. So if we're in community, the community uplifts us. The community comes in and supports. This is why I think community is the wave of the future. The community and accountability is the real commodity in the information age. Because in the information age, information is free. We can go on Google and get all the information for absolutely free. And it's a landmine, and it's confusing, and it's too much information. So what we need to do is listen to our hearts and follow in the energetics of a community that makes us feel good. And then we're supported and we're uplifted to the next level. Community is what we want to invest in. Community is what we want to seek out. Community is what we want to create and be part of and feel vulnerable within. So Liz's question, I don't feel comfortable providing accountability for others. No, be a fly on the wall so people can be accountable for you. And then you'll learn the roadmap of what accountability can do, how it can transform your life. It's literally how we go from where we are to where we want to go, whether that's diet, health, transformation, making $1 million, whatever it is. It's community and it's accountability that helps us get there.
Thank you so much. Here's a question on supplements from Rebecca. Do you take any supplements? And she's specifically asking about carnosine, taurine, or beta-alanine.
All of those are non-essential amino acids, which the body produces. There's 9 essential amino acids that are called essential because the body does not make them. Okay, and those are all available in plant sources. Sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, all the seeds all have all the 9 essential amino acids. Okay, seeds and greens, and fruits for that matter. But there's the rest of the amino acids. There's 23 in total. So the rest of the amino acids our body produces. Also, if we're going to talk about supplementation, we have to talk about why we would be supplementing. Are we supplementing for deficiencies? Because if we are talking about deficiencies, we actually have to take some steps back and talk about absorption. What is the condition of our gut? Are we absorbing and are we utilizing properly? So if someone is deficient in an amino acid, it's not because their body isn't utilizing the components that create that or that build that or that convert that. And if we have a deficiency in something like iron and anemia, it's because it's an absorption issue. This is why bowel detoxification is absolutely critical. I've dedicated my life to helping my clients understand how to detox their bowels properly. I have a protocol I developed from years and years of working with people. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people through my method of juice fasting to remove biofilms, waste, and plaques that build up in the GI tract. This is a critical first step for being healthy, for increasing your raw foods, because it makes the 2 major components work better in your bowels. One is that the food can move through the bowels properly. I call it bowel transit time. It's absolutely critical for health, youthfulness, collagen, hair, nails, skin, eyes, all of it. It's critical that the bowels move quickly. So bowel detoxification helps with that because it removes waste, impacted blockages, things that are in there. And then also removal of biofilms and plaques that have built up. So that's why we need these high stimulant foods sometimes. Animal products are supplemented. These factory farms are supplementing animals. So if we're talking about taurine and carnosine and beta-alanine, these are typically found in meat sources, but that's because these animals are heavily supplemented, heavily, given these foods to create these profiles of nutrients. It's not natural. And we can produce all of that in our own body if we have the proper gut microbiome. So the key is to build a microbiome that can produce all the amino acids, utilize all the amino acids properly, convert and produce all of the nutrients that we need. So as a raw vegan, I don't take very many supplements. I've spent my entire life, the last 33 years of my life, focused on detoxification and gut health. Okay, so I literally went 15 years of my life without ever taking a single supplement at all, and no B12, none of the traditional vegan supplements, and never had any problems at all. This is because I started young and my gut is healthy. But now I'm 50, I'm about to turn 50. And so I do take two B12 and iodine. And I do just because I don't even know if I need them, to be honest. I probably think iodine is probably a really important one because there's literally no iodine in food sources because it's a mineral that comes from the soils. And it's not adequate in seaweeds. There isn't really enough dietary iodine in seaweeds. But I would say there's only two we need, and that is maybe B12. If we're not aware of how to get B12 otherwise, and we can get B12 from food sources and bacterial sources if we're paying close attention. So we don't need to supplement with B12. It is convenient, however, and then iodine is maybe one. So there's really only one supplement I think we need, and that is iodine. So hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Well, people are asking, and it's not just because you're following the raw vegan diet, but they ask every guest, what exactly do you eat? Like, can you take us through what I eat in a day?
Yeah, thanks, AJ. As a raw vegan, I'm focused on getting in enough calories to fuel my workouts. So I always try to have the highest amounts of calories in the morning before I work out and then directly after I work out. So that's where I focus all of my food. So what I prefer to do is have a smoothie before I work out so it's easy to digest. I can have my smoothie, get in like 1,000 calories. I pack it full of nutrition. My smoothies are like concoctions of nutrient density. I will put in greens. I put in dates and bananas usually as my base. I will put in superfoods. I will use herbs and some of the adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms, like dried mushrooms, like cordyceps and things like that. So I really put a lot of focus in nutrient density into those smoothies. That's what fuels my workouts to build a 200-pound, raw vegan man. And then after my workout, I usually have green juice and fruit to restore the glycogen to my muscles, to just get my energy high. My favorite is pineapple and green juice, which I have directly after my workouts usually. And then in the evening, I'll have a salad, usually a very nutrient dense salad. I will put seaweeds in my salad. I will put lots of nuts and seeds in my salad. I will focus on omega-3 rich sources of fat. So I will load my salads with hemp seeds and flax seeds and chia seeds in dressings and in other ways that I get them in. I love to put walnuts and dried fruits in my salads. Sometimes I will add omega-3 rich oils. It's the only oil I use. I do not use oils except possibly hemp seed oil for the omega-3s. I believe vegans really need to focus on omega-3s, especially raw vegans, but all vegans. So I focus on omega-3s almost exclusively. And so my salads are high calorie and nutrient dense that way. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm literally talking smoothie, green juice, fruit, and salad. Now, I will say, though, that, this is my mission, this is my vision, and this is what makes me feel activated and turned on by life. So for me, eating the same foods, somebody might say, that's so boring or seems so limited, but it makes me feel amazing.
And so, look amazing.
Yeah. And so the little bit of discipline or structure around my diet, not giving into like cookies and carbs and breads and pastas and all this stuff that we all love, helps keep me at a high pinnacle level of health and vitality, which comes through and you can see it. So.
No, I mean, I agree with you. Don't eat, because I separate the carbs that come from steamed broccoli or potatoes from cookies and alcohol and all that stuff. But I just, oh man, I really admire what you do. And I've always kind of been on the periphery, but I just, call it an addiction, but I do love like steamed vegetables and potatoes. And I just can't imagine giving that up right now.
Well, I think that's fair enough, AJ. That's okay. I mean, I don't know. We go through phases in life, and I have potatoes sometimes. I have steamed vegetables sometimes. I'm not dogmatic about it, and I'm not extremist about it. I think having a little bit of variety, allowing yourself to have some cooked foods, like for myself, helps me remember why I prefer the raw foods. So I might have like a dinner with like potatoes or quinoa or something like that. And then I'm like, oh, this feels like a lump in my stomach. It takes forever to digest. It doesn't give me the energy that I'm used to. And so I'm like, oh, that's why I want to go back to raw food. So it just helps me get really where I want to go. It's okay to have some cooked foods in the diet. I personally think 80% or more living foods will allow the body to thrive at an optimal level. There's a little room in there for a steamed potato or broccoli or whatever you want, but I think if we, again, here's the thing. It's about vision. What is our vision, and who are we enrolled in becoming? Who are we enrolled in becoming? And I often say to my clients all the time, the person with the biggest vision wins. So if there's a vision in your mind of who you are, that's going to win. You have to be careful of where that vision gets implanted from, because our society is going to download the program of who you're supposed to be. And if we don't have our own vision, we will be running a default vision, somebody else's vision. And that's why I think like the carnivore movement, and there's so many carnivore influencers online, which I, of course, am dedicated to the opposite, the truth. Why they have so much influence is because it's simply a strong vision. And those who don't have their own vision will be enrolled in someone else's vision. So we have to be conscious of where our vision is coming from and who we are enrolled in becoming. Why not? Let's choose a vision for ourselves and the planet and the animals that is very high vibrational, loving, benevolent, kind, in high consciousness, creating win-win situations for ourselves, the animals, the environment, where we really truly are stewards and in love with the where we are, planet Earth, and we live in complete harmony and balance, and everything thrives. Why not choose that version? Because that's a vision, and we can be enrolled in that vision just as easily as we can be enrolled in the dogmatic, survivalist, fear-driven vision that we have to focus on nutrients only, that we must eat food for just nutrition, and that we need amino acids, we need carnosine, and all these things. It's not true. What really matters most is where our mind is at. We can create any version we want. The matter follows our mind. Mind over matter is a real thing. And if we are completely enrolled that we are just a physical body and we must fuel it with just physical-based survival fear needs, that's where we're going to be at. But if we choose to have a vision that we are a higher cognitive species on an awakening journey to a higher dimension, then we can be just as enrolled in that. And then what do we do? Then what do we eat? What do we source? What do we seek out? Who are we? That's the real question. Higher vibrational thinking leads us to a better version of ourselves. If you want to be the best version of yourself possible in this world, it's about raising your vibration, being responsible, and being enrolled in a vision of who you truly want to be. That's what it is.
By any chance, did you study with Landmark?
So I've done a lot of leadership training. Yes, AJ, I have done a variation of Landmark, and I absolutely love it. It's changed my life. It's absolutely changed my life. So have you done Landmark?
I did. And that's just some of the language. I thought it was a fabulous program, but I was just wondering, because you must have done something to be so inspirational. You mentioned how you fuel your workouts. What are your workouts? And did you have muscle even before you were raw vegan, or did that really help fuel that?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was in my teens and 20s, I had gone vegan for the animals and was not interested in nutritional awareness at all. I did not go vegan for health. Let's put it that way. I went vegan for the animals and for my consciousness and for my responsibility as a light worker on this planet. And so I lost a lot of muscle mass by default because I was kind of disenchanted with food all through my 20s. I didn't eat a lot, to be honest. And I was pretty underweight. I think I was 145 and I'm 6'2". I was like 145. So that's pretty skinny for a man 6'2". And then, I never focused on working out, but then I got older. And by the time I hit 40, I started to put on a little weight around my midsection and I was skinny fat. I didn't like the way I looked at all. And I was like, I got to deal with this. I got to take on some kind of a fitness awareness here. So I started lifting weights, and you know what? I got bit by the weightlifting bug at 40, it changed my life. And I absolutely love it. And I go 5 or 6 days a week, and I have for years because I love it. It makes me feel amazing. It gives me the mental focus and clarity and belief in myself that fuels my entire lifestyle and my self-confidence. So at 40, I started lifting weights, but when I went raw vegan at 44, I went completely raw at 44 years old. I detoxed for 2 years. Like I said, I got back down to 145. I think I got down to 144, which as a 6'2" man is skinny. I was swimming in my clothes. And so after I adjusted my gut microbiome, like I was saying, and I fully adapted my microbiome to a raw vegan diet, and I felt consistently good on raw foods, that's when I started working out again. I didn't work out for 2 years at that point. I needed to detox. I needed to focus on what was happening with my body. I needed to become a raw vegan. I needed to detox my gut. It was a major transition, I'll tell you that. But then when I started feeling good consistently, I started going back to the gym, and between 40, so it was 2 years. So by 46, I started working out again, and now I'm 49. So in the last 3 years, I've put on 50 pounds of muscle, 50 pounds of muscle. I know it's hard to believe, but it is because I have a very clean gut. I transitioned my gut microbiome. I detoxed my gut. I'm absorbing nutrition very easily. I can absorb amino acids. So I put on muscle. I know it's hard to see with my black shirt, but I'm 200 pounds and very lean, 15% body fat right now at 200 pounds. And that is because I lift weights, I eat a lot of raw vegan calories, and I focus on my macronutrients and make sure I'm getting a good amount of proteins and fats, all from raw sources. And then in addition, I do progressive overload training in the gym, which is strength training. I make sure I lift a little bit more weight every time I go and build my strength, and my body adapts. So that's how I've put on 50 pounds of muscle in the last 3 years. And from someone living it here inside this body, experiencing it, I worked out before I was raw and I worked out after I was raw. My body has responded to being raw way better. It's miraculous and I believe this is because metabolically, my body is adapted to the proper nutrition, the proper undenatured food. It's easier for my body to utilize the raw food. It's easier for my body to digest it. I have faster bowel transit time. I'm able to convert and utilize the food properly, and it just puts it right on my body where I need it. So if I need it in my muscles, it goes there. So it's been miraculous. And so I coach people on how to do this. A lot of men, especially because I'm a man, come to me and ask for help, and they want to gain some weight and do this. So I help them do it. And I also help people in my Raw Vegan Heroes group, which has 1,000 members, like I said. And we talk about exercise and weight gain and doing this properly. Every week I do a live stream into my group. So this is how I serve people. This is how I coach people. This is how I help people. And my Raw Vegan Heroes group is nominal fee. It's really, really affordable. It's almost no fee. It's so cheap to be part of it because it's literally my service to others. I have some assistant coaches in the group who I pay. So there's a small fee just to make sure we have proper educated coaches who are dedicated to serving others in the group. But besides that, it's just my service to helping create support and accountability and the knowledge necessary to thrive on a raw vegan diet. Raw Vegan Heroes. And it's the hero's journey. It's the crossing over the threshold of the unknown and having a mentor show us that it's okay to step into our fears, and for that death and rebirth, rising from the ashes of our former self to bring home the new self, the new knowledge of a higher way of being and the best possible version of ourselves. That is what I strive to do. Train other leaders, train other heroes in their own lives. And that's my mission. That's my vision of what I'm here to do on this planet.
Thank you. In addition to the weight and the strength training, do you do any kind of cardio?
Cardio is good for heart health, but it's not good for muscle mass. So it's actually proven, and it's highly studied in sports science, that excessive cardio, especially steady state intensive cardio, will reduce muscle mass. So as a raw vegan man, I don't really want to reduce muscle mass. So I do small amounts of cardio, and I will focus on high intensity interval training. It's called HIIT. I don't know for people who know, but it's where you exert a lot of effort very quickly and then stop. So on a treadmill, for instance, you do a burst of running at full speed and then you walk. And then you do a burst of running at full speed and then you walk. And that type of cardio training preserves muscle mass and helps shred fat. So if you want to look like a fitness model and be a raw plant-based like inspiration to your friends and family, do that. Do the HIIT style cardio, and then lift weights and detox your gut so you can absorb the proteins from raw food properly.
Nice. Well, Marcus is saying that he's vegan and he's interested in gaining weight. And can you help him?
Yes, Marcus. Yes. Hello, Marcus. So many people are in this position. Just 3 years ago, I was 144 pounds. That's really skinny. My shirt would be, just on my sleeve, my shirt would be loose and falling off. It's hard to describe what that flappy shirt sleeve. Okay. Now, as a guy, you want to fill out your sleeves. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing to focus on feeling strong and capable and muscular as a man, for instance, because it gives us that confidence we need. And women too. We want to have the confidence. Low muscle mass will decrease our confidence. No two ways about it. If you have a lack of muscle mass on your body, you will be highly self-conscious about it and insecure and basically just not happy with yourself. So this is a worthwhile journey. And Marcus, and anyone who wants help, join my group, Raw Vegan Heroes. It's, like I said, it's a nominal fee. It's very high value. You get amazing accountability and support, and a weekly live stream with me, and I will coach you and I will help show you exactly how to do it and how I have done it. And you got to put in the work. You got to invest. And the number one thing to invest in isn't the gym. That comes like maybe second, third, fourth down the list. The first thing to invest in is accountability. Like I said, we're not going to make changes by doing it ourselves. The lone wolf people will never get the results they want. Don't be a lone wolf. Be a part of a community that supports you. That will help you go from where you are to where you want to go as quickly as possible. And then from there, you can do the details, like joining a gym and doing a juice fast to clean out your gut. I've got all of that covered in my Raw Vegan Heroes group. I teach people how to do the juice fast, how to build muscle. I have the protocols in video trainings in the group. It's all there, everything.
Fantastic. So Mona says she's going to have to see either a driver's license or a birth certificate. She doesn't believe you're 50.
Oh, nice. I don't have my wallet here. Otherwise, I'd literally pull it out and show you. I was born January 10th, 1973.
Nice. Thank you. Maureen says, do you have any easy raw recipes?
Oh, the easiest raw recipe is a smoothie. Oh, yes. I mean, how easy is a smoothie, right? How easy is a salad? I mean, salads are phenomenal and so easy. So, okay, and the other one is fruit mono meal. So I eat a lot of fruit mono meals because it helps the body utilize the nutrition properly without too much digestive effort. So the gut is the root system of our organism. If we focus on proper gut, gut health, let's call it, food combining, what we put in there, how and when we put it in there, we can experience a heightened sense of health from that. And so I eat fruit mono meals, which means I will sit down and I will eat an entire meal of one fruit. Seasonal fruit. Melon, for instance, is in season and delicious right now. Peaches too. So imagine sitting down and having an entire meal till you're completely satisfied of just melon or peaches, right? How many peaches would that be for you? For me, it could be up to 10 peaches. I might sit down and eat 10 peaches in a meal. And that, how much more simple could it be than that? It can't be any simpler. A raw vegan diet is literally the most simple diet, and it's the most biologically perfect diet for the human organism. And so it's easy, simple, and honestly, if you get good at it and you adapt your thinking, it's actually cheaper than a cooked diet because you don't need as much food. You have to detox your gut. You've got to focus in the right ways, but you can actually eat less food, spend less money on food, and get more results. That's what I do. I spend less than cooked food eaters. I do, and I know I do. And it's pretty amazing. And then recipes, or something that's transitional. I have a 14-day meal plan as part of my Raw Vegan Heroes group. You get it as an instant download when you join that group. It's a 14-day meal plan to help you go from cooked vegan, transitional cooked vegan, high raw to fully raw. Okay, so my recipes kind of are an educational guide of how you adapt cooked foods to raw foods. And I've got shopping lists and pantry recommendations and kitchen tools that you need to thrive on a raw vegan diet. It's a highly educational guide, and it's a 74-page document. It's literally worth the price of Raw Vegan Heroes just for that document. I spent like 6 months working on that. And it's an educational guide, because literally where you end up if you do it long-term like me is you end up with, juices, smoothies, fruit monomeals, and salads. That's really what it is. If you guys saw how I ate, you'd be amazed. It's truly amazing. But we all need education. That's the knowledge part. We need accountability, we need support, and we need knowledge. And if you seek those out, you can be successful at anything you do.
Thank you. That's great. So here's a question from Rosemary. She goes, well, how do you get started on a raw diet when you're accustomed to cooked foods? Because everything you're mentioning sounds delicious, but I always feel like if I don't have starch, I'm never full.
Great question. Such a good question. And I have a free video course that I've made for people who are like, where do I start? And so my video course is called How to Go Raw Vegan, Start Here. It's a 6-part video course that addresses the main questions. This is one of the questions I address in the 6-part video course. It's completely free to sign up. The link to that video course is on my homepage on my website, rawveganrising.com. It's in my bio of my TikTok, of my Instagram, and my Facebook. That is my service, totally free to anyone who wants it, totally free. And that is addressing how we start the process of transitioning away from starch. Because there's only 2 things that make the difference between a cooked vegan and a raw vegan. 2 things: starch and cooked oils, heated oils or heated fats. If you cut out starch and you cut out heated fats and you're vegan, you're raw. That's what it is. It's starch and oils that keep us in that cooked range. So I talk about that, and I talk about how to detox the gut. I talk about how to transition the microbes and the bacteria. We talk about how to feel satiated and the way we can feel satiated without starch. So I address that entire thing in my free video course.
Thank you so much. That I will have to check that out. Angela says, can you explain why the cooking of vegan food is inflammatory? Is there a cytokine storm release upon eating it? Is there a release of white blood cells throughout the system upon eating it?
Yes, there is. Yeah, very insightful. There is a release of white blood cells because it's denatured. And so there is a slight immune response to the denatured structure of the food. So that's denatured proteins, denatured fiber. The molecules are changed. It's molecularly altered. So that creates a foreign response in the body. So yes, our body puts out an immune response with white blood cells. It's called digestive leukocytosis. It's an erroneous thing. I don't even care to go into the science so much. The proof is in the pudding. You look at someone who's doing a raw vegan diet right, and you will see the vibrancy and the health, and you'll see how it works. If you look at somebody who's not doing it right, though, who's dogmatic and restrictive, and fruitarians tend to fall into this category, you will see undernourished, malnourished people. Yes, indeed. But you'll see malnourished people on carnivore diets, on omnivore diets, and on cooked vegan diets too. So really, we have to be smart and give our body the ultimate vitality it needs, which is undenatured. Undenatured is simply the term. Don't denature the majority of your food, and you're going to be the best version of yourself. You're going to feel amazing, and you'll reverse all your inflammation and immune issues.
Great. Thanks so much. And here's a question from Rosemary, because I know you eat your food not cooked or not denatured. And she wants to know, do you eat any starchy vegetables like potatoes or sweet potatoes, corn, rice, beans, or legumes?
I really like to sprout certain legumes. Lentils specifically are amazing sprouted. I've really grown fond of them, and I have a taste for them. So that is a way I eat a legume completely raw. And sometimes I will allow myself to have small amounts of sweet potato or a usually quinoa is the only grain I'll have once in a while, or I just generally don't cook legumes or rice, those types of things. But I will have sprouted legumes, and you can do chickpeas, mung beans, green peas, and lentils. Okay, sprouted and raw. Those are all wonderful. Oh, and adzuki beans. Those you can sprout raw. And other than that, I keep my potatoes and starch to a minimum.
Thank you so much. Kathy wants to know, do you ever feel unwell? Do you ever get sick?
No, I haven't gotten sick since I went raw 5 years ago. No sign of a cold, no mucus, and extremely good bowel transit time. That's the thing, is like, if you have healthy bowel movements, most people really misunderstand that. They think if they go once a day, they have good bowels. We should be going as many times as we eat. We should go probably 3 times a day, and sometimes even more. So if you're eating a lot, like I do, for the calories to have good muscle mass as a raw vegan, and you're eating more volume, that should all be coming out in a very, very consistent way. That's the highest level of health right there, is the bowel transit time. So we should really, really be focused on that if we want to have the best health possible. And if we really want to make a vegan diet especially work, we have to make sure we are not constipated in any way, shape, or form.
Nice. Misty says, Shane, you're a perfect example of eating fruits and veggies.
Yay, thanks.
Yeah. Kathy says, what salad dressing do you use? Or maybe you don't use dressing.
I do use dressings. I really like using hemp seeds as the base of a dressing. That's my go-to. I have a video on YouTube called The Best Raw Vegan Ranch Dressing Plus Taste Test. That's what the title is. The Best Raw Vegan Ranch Dressing. That video is the recipe. I make it live on camera for people. So I'd recommend go check that video out, because it's like a staple. People praise me for that recipe. They thank me. And I adapted it from just a need. I needed a creamy ranch style dressing to just help me transition to a raw food diet. Now, 5 years into this lifestyle for myself, I rarely make that dressing anymore, because what I really focus on now is all of that nutrient density that I put into that dressing, I put into the whole foods, and then I just sprinkle maybe a little salt and a little apple cider vinegar or something, or lemon on my salad. But all of the nuts and seeds I just put into the salad. So I've kind of adapted it now, because I like just eating the whole food. But that dressing alone, that raw vegan ranch recipe, helped me become a raw vegan.
Thank you so much. There's a question. What are your thoughts on creatine supplements?
If you're going to work out in the gym, creatine is a great supplement to take. And to be honest, I take creatine is the only sports supplement I take for building muscle. And I've experimented extensively with for months I don't take it and months I do take it. It gives you that little extra edge. It puts a little bit of extra energy into the muscle. You can get inch out a few more reps in the gym. It helps your body adapt. It's a good one. So I would say, even as a raw vegan, you could take a little bit of creatine, not much, 3 grams in your smoothie or something a day. It would be all you need, not very much. And it just depends. You don't even need it. You don't need it. But if you want to give yourself a little bit of edge, like 2 more reps on your heavy weight or something, then yeah, it's going to give you that extra, but you really don't need it. Like, if your goal is to look like a fitness model, you do not need it. It's just whole food and progressive overload training. Otherwise, like I said, the only supplements I take are iodine and B12.
Great, thank you. So here's an interesting question. I get this too. Do you ever allow yourself to go off plan and indulge? And if so, what do you indulge in?
Yeah, sure. I'll let myself indulge. Yeah, we all do. Okay, so I'll indulge in maybe some caffeine, because I gave up caffeine years ago. Maybe I'll have some green tea. That's like my indulgent thing. Or maybe some oils of some sort. I don't know, because I don't eat oils. Or a starchy vegetable like quinoa or sweet potato. That's pretty much it. I'm really a clean lifestyle type of person. So my ex-wife, she laughs at me and says, she's like, Shane, your version of cheating is like most people's version of extremely healthy. So
That is so funny. Maureen says,
Yeah.
can you help her build muscle?
Yeah. What's her name? I missed the name.
Maureen.
Maureen. Yes, I can help you build muscle. The principles of how to build muscle and the body mechanics are the same for everyone. And so really we want to understand, first step is gut detoxification so you can utilize food properly. That really makes a huge difference, such a huge difference. And then proper macros, which are proteins, carbs, and fats. So we have to like work on the diet a little bit. And then the progressive overload style training in the gym and how we set that up. And we usually come up with like a workout routine that you can do that's easy to understand and that helps you understand how to engage your body mechanics properly. And if you see people in the gym who look good, they have a very strong understanding of how to have good form. And you look at people who don't even look like they go to the gym and they're in there and they are all over the place and wobbly with the weights. They don't have any form at all. So good form is critical.
You know,
And if somebody wants to work with me, I have my deep dive sessions that are on my website. I have a tab at the top of my website, rawveganrising.com, and it says work with me. And under there, you can see the 3 ways that I help people. One is my consultation calls where we can talk on the phone for an hour, my 12-week program where I work with people one-on-one for 12 weeks, and then my Juice Fast Mastery program where people can do a juice fast for 40 days with a private coach. Those are my 3 work with me options.
wow. Reese says she loves that you went vegan for the animals first.
Yeah, I still am vegan for the animals first and foremost, without question.
Thank you. You know, we talked a lot about diet and exercise, but what about sleep? Because I found the year that I was raw, I just never slept. I just didn't need it. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
It is freaky. Yeah, I went through a transition with that. So at first, there's multiple reasons why our sleep might be disturbed. One would be toxicity and the detox process. If we have toxins coming out of our liver, coming out of our interstitial fluids, out of our bowels, it's going to be disturbing to our physiology. We might not sleep because of the acids and the toxins. The other reason is because we sleep to detoxify. Our body is regenerating during sleep. If we're eating a raw diet and we have been raw for a period of time and we're detoxing out, our body doesn't need to repair so much. So we might literally not need as much sleep. I need less sleep now than I used to as a raw vegan, which is wonderful. But having disrupted sleep was only a temporary phase. I sleep like a baby, I'll tell you that. But it took me a couple years to be able to get past it's like taking I don't know, mud, shaking it up. The mud's going to get all disturbed, but then after time, it'll settle back down. You have to go through the transition. Disturbed sleep does not last forever. Most people are so freaked out by it and think it does. It does not. Hair fall doesn't last forever. Disturbed sleep doesn't last forever. Sensitive teeth doesn't last forever. All of it adjusts. And then we find a new homeostasis, a new normal, and it's worth it. It is worth it. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, you seem very healthy. You look great. And you also seem very calm.
Oh, good. Thank you for that. Yeah, I seem calm.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm like energetic or whatever, but that's good to know. I would like to come across seeming calm and collected and, like I have my stuff together.
Maybe you're energetically calm.
Oh, thanks, AJ. I think that's probably true. Yes. I'm really a stable person and I really have a strong belief in what I know and the truth. And I'm a truth seeker. I've spent my entire life trying to get to the root of what really is the truth. Universal law, natural law. I like to peer behind the curtain of how things work and understand the fundamentals. That's why I'm raw vegan. And it gives me a sense of peace and certainty in my life that's just not beatable.
Are you friends with any of the other prominent raw vegans? Because people are saying you'd get along great with Chris Kendall. He has a similar kind of kind, calm energy.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, I'm connected with a lot of raw vegans, including Chris Kendall on social media, and we will chat and talk occasionally. It just depends on what's going on. But I haven't met Chris Kendall personally in person yet. But one of these days, I'm sure we will meet. Yes.
Well, Colleen said, have you ever participated in any of the raw vegan bundles? That's how I met Chris and Lisa, because I'm not in their circle really. And they're awesome people.
The raw vegan download, the bundle.
Yeah, it's like this thing that Lissa has and Chris, they formed it and they do it once or twice a year where you put in like a content, like an ebook or a course, and everybody, participates together and sells it for a very brief period of time of like 10 days.
It sounds great. Yeah, I have lots of PDFs, downloads.
I
Really
should
helpful
connect you with
knowledge.
Lissa because I'm sure she'll do it again next year. Oh,
Yeah.
Rachel says, do you use nutritional yeast or bee pollen?
Those are good questions. Yes, on nutritional yeast. For many years as a raw vegan, I did not. And I thought, well, it's not raw. It's not, I used nutritional yeast for many years as a cooked vegan. But then when I went raw, I gave it up and I was like, I really don't need it. But I've reintroduced it. I don't see any reason not to use nutritional yeast. Just like any kind of supplemental food. Like I do supplemental foods. I will have hemp seed oil. I think of it as a supplement. I will have reishi mushrooms, and I think of it as like a supplemental food. There's a lot of things that fall into that category for me. What are some other ones? Even like ashwagandha root. It's like a supplemental food. I like it. I use it. I eat it. Most people wouldn't think that's not food, but it is for me. And I think nutritional yeast falls into that category. It's like a supplemental food. It's great. Why not? So I would say yes. Yes, eat nutritional yeast.
A lot of people are asking if you eat only organic and if that matters.
No, I don't think it has to be all organic. I think organic is great, but sometimes it's not available. It's depending on the season. Sometimes you want to buy some grapes and it's not organic. Buy the grapes. Eat food. Eat the raw foods. Bowel transit time will keep you detoxed out. There's the highest levels of concentrated pesticides are on grains and in animal fats. If we're not eating grains and we're not eating animal fats, our body is detoxifying daily on a high level, and our bowel transit time is so high that environmental toxins from pesticides on food it's not going to stick in the body as it would if we were eating grains with slow digestion or animal products or any of these slow digesting foods. The raw vegan bowel transit time will solve that problem. So I really would not worry about it.
What should transit time be and how do we test it? With corn?
Well, there's the prune test. You can eat some reconstituted prunes. You take like 8 ounces of prunes, soak them overnight, eat those, and you can see when they come out. That's the test I use for people who are juice fasting, because if you're drinking nothing but juice for 40 days, maybe 60, 90 days, there's no food in there left. And so when you eat prunes, you can see if they come out. But here's the thing. If you are a normal cooked food vegan eater and you're eating squash and hamburger buns and frozen pizzas and all this stuff, the bowel transit time is poor. There's no question about it. It is poor. And so you won't even be able to tell if you have prunes because they'll probably be in there for a couple of days. And if you eat things that seemingly come out fast, that doesn't indicate that all of your food is coming out that fast. And I think people really can get confused on this topic. So
thank you.
Bowel transit time should be 3 to 4 hours. It should be within 4 hours.
That's something. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah.
Here's a nice question. Do you have any top vegan heroes or bodybuilding heroes who inspired you?
Raw vegan bodybuilders,
or just any vegan? It didn't say raw.
Right.
Yeah.
So vegan bodybuilders, no. Raw vegan bodybuilders, no. Are there traditional meat-based, normal, nutritional science-based bodybuilders that have inspired me for their physiques? Yes, but I have adapted it to my own. Unfortunately, there's not another example out there that I know of. I know that there's vegan bodybuilders. I personally don't follow any currently. I'm raw vegan. I'm more interested in the raw food. So I'm not looking for the vegan protein kind of narrative. I'm looking for a completely different narrative. And I've really had to devise a lot of that through my own experience over the years. So I would say currently, if someone was raw vegan and they want to follow someone who has really good muscle mass and has mastered body mechanics and progressive overload style training, I'm the person to follow, because I don't know of anyone else out there currently.
Thank you. Marcia says, Shane, do you currently fast, and do you think fasting is necessary with your current diet and lifestyle?
I do intermittent fasting. Yeah. Right now I'm on a 9 or 10 hour eating window, and then I don't eat the rest of the day. So I stop eating at around 8 o'clock in the evening. And so I do some intermittent fasting, but I haven't always. When I transitioned to a raw vegan diet, I ate like a fiend, like a horse. I ate everything all day long, and I didn't worry about it. And I didn't make up a story that this was undesirable. I did it for years because I was more focused on becoming a successful raw vegan. I knew that was the path for me. So I knew that um, I had to focus on that first. And so it really wasn't about, I lost my train of thought.
Mhm.
What was it? What was the question again? I wanted to finish.
If you fasted and you felt it was necessary with your current diet.
Oh, good. Yes. Thank you. So the fasting was not a part of my reality for many years, but now it's so normalized. My diet is really normal, and I eat a balance of macros, proteins, carbs, and fats. So it feels like my body is eating just food, normal food. And so in that way, after the transition, it's helpful to do, normal intermittent fasting where I just take a break from eating in the evening.
Nice. People are complimenting your skin and wanted to know if you recommend any type of skincare.
The best skincare is diet, hands down. High water, high fiber, high enzymatic foods. That is fruits, vegetables, raw nuts, and seeds. There is no skincare beyond that. You're trying to put lipstick on a pig at that point. I mean, it's really about diet. Raw foods create the collagen in the skin. But we have to detox the gut, because what people are going to find is that if they just start eating raw foods, they're going to have gut problems. And then they're going to have, the detox symptoms, and they're going to say, oh, this doesn't work. This made my hair fall out and my skin wrinkly and bags under my eyes. The opposite. But this is why we have to do it in the proper order. We have to detox the gut, and we have to transition the microbes and the bacteria in the gut, build the strength on the raw vegan foods. And then we're going to have the result of the skin. Okay, so it's a process. I have all this outlined in my Raw Vegan Heroes group. So if someone really was like, okay, yeah, I would like to take 10 years off the way I look, and I'm going to be dedicated to this. Yeah, follow what I do, how I've done it, and get the support of all the 1,000 members in the group for your journey. It'll be amazing.
Wow. Daniel says, Shane is wonderful, like my soul brother. I agree with all that he says. I've been doing the same thing for many years as well.
Wonderful, Daniel. Thank you so much, soul brother. Appreciate it.
Do you, people keep asking, because you don't have to answer where you live if you don't want, but they're saying because they're wondering if you live in a warm climate that makes it easier to be 100% raw.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas. So the fruit is good here. We're in the southern part of the US. So we're close to Mexico, and a lot of agriculture in Texas, a lot of agriculture in Mexico. We're fairly close to California. There's a lot of fruit agriculture, raw food agriculture there. So, yes, geographic location plays a huge part. I'm going to live geographically where I can thrive as a raw vegan. That's just hands down, bottom line. I will move mountains to move my body wherever I need to be to thrive, because I deserve that. I'm on planet Earth for a limited amount of time. I'm not going to live in some compromised situation. Me personally, I'm not going to do that. So I moved to Austin, Texas a year and a half ago, partly to move more southern, and my actually goal is to spend part of the year in Bali and maybe the Philippines and other tropical locations that have really excellent fruit, Thailand. So this is my vision, is to even become more tropical oriented, so I can have access to better raw foods. But yeah, this is me. People who are living in northern climates, maybe don't have the mindset, the dedication, the focus. And in that situation, you might have to compromise. Yeah. If you can't get raw fruits in Alaska, then that's just what it is.
That's got to be more difficult. Apple says, do you have any suggestions on saving money on produce?
Yeah. Yeah. The best way to save money, for one, is to clean the gut out, because I'm telling you, if you clean the gut properly, like really invest in proper bowel detoxification, you will need less food. And so you won't be buying as much food. That's number one. Number two would be to really focus on seasonal fruits and vegetables. If you go into the grocery store in winter, the raspberries are going to be $20 a pound or whatever, they're going to be as high as possible. But if you eat raspberries at peak season, they might be $3 a pound. So the same goes with anything. You have to learn when the season is to buy that. And it might be only a small window. You might be like, I'd love to eat raspberries every day of the year, but that's not how nature works. There's raspberries for 2 weeks out of the year. And so if you eat seasonally, you're going to be able to save the most amount of money. And then as you really adapt to a raw vegan diet, you'll be able to get more nutrition from less food. That combination is magic, and it's really not very expensive.
I know you talked about like the cooking denatures the food, but how do you feel about freezing? Because I'm thinking the way I would save money as any person, whether I was raw or not, is when I saw something that was affordable, like in season, like blueberries, I would stock up.
Yeah, freezing does destroy some of the enzymes, but if you freeze raw fruit specifically, it still has a lot of the enzymatic potential still in the food. So freezing is not as bad as cooking for denaturing, but it is still somewhat denatured. So it is somewhat changed on a molecular level, on a cellular level, as we know. It does alter the food. I personally keep frozen fruits to a minimum.
Okay.
I do have them, of course, but I really prefer not to have frozen food at all. So if you go look in my freezer right now, it's virtually empty. I
So,
don't have
so no banana and ice cream then.
I mean, yes, banana and ice cream is wonderful, but I don't focus on it as a primary food. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Sumati says, do you dehydrate vegetables like kale chips, for example?
I don't have a dehydrator. I
So
wish I did. It would be nice. It would be convenient. I'd be able to make all kinds of yummy things. If that was something that you wanted to do and focus on dehydrated foods, sure, that's wonderful. I personally have figured out how to be a successful raw vegan without a dehydrator for 5 years now. And like I said, I focus on juices, smoothies, fruits, and salads, and raw nuts and seeds. And I do make some recipes. Like I make date balls, pecans and dates, 50-50, blend it up into a ball, and then I roll them in coconut, shredded coconut. Delicious. Yum. Love that. But my processed foods or my recipes are 2 ingredients. I mean, really minimal stuff like that. So no dehydrator for me. I think it's best to master a raw vegan diet without a dehydrator personally, but that's just me. I would say dehydrated foods are great. They're wonderful. Yes, utilize them.
that I want to read this nice comment from Barbie. She says, I thought he was in his 20s.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
I turned
incredible.
50 in a few months.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Let's see. I saw a nice comment I wanted to read here from Sarah. When I fall off track, I watch Shane's videos and I get back to eating better. People are asking if there's any meaning like to your tattoos.
Yeah, my tattoos are, well, something that just looks cool for one. I knew a friend of mine had these exact tattoos, and they were my favorite tattoos that I had ever seen. I was like, boy, if I ever got tattoos, I would want those tattoos. They just looked so cool on my friend. And my friend passed away, and I had this feeling one day come over me that I should get the tattoos. It was almost like their soul was talking to me saying, you love these tattoos. Let's keep them alive. You take them. And that was a very specific feeling that came over me. And so I sat with that for many months, many months. I did not hastily go into that, but I decided to do it. And it's inspired by a Filipino hill tribe, Igorot tribe, does this specific design with the diamonds and the honeycomb and the lines. It's designed as inspired directly from the Igorot tribe. And you go and look at those designs, they're really cool. So
Nice. Somebody's asking about what your spiritual practice is, if you're willing to share that, like maybe do you meditate or something like that?
yeah, my spiritual practice is my devotion to myself and my intimacy with my problems. Um, if I feel something I don't want to feel, I will stop and feel it. If I have like grief, emotion, trauma, abandonment, fear of being alone, all the ones, I just will stop and feel it. Look, we all go through problems in our life. We all have traumas. We all have grief. I literally will take the time to stop and let it wash over me. So this, I believe, is one of the deepest levels of self-care. And it is the highest level of spiritual growth. I believe spiritual awakening is about bringing light to our shadow. The most enlightened people in our history and in the world are not people who have some extra connection to source or oneness. It's actually people who are willing to integrate their shadow, their darkness, their traumas. If we can shed light on the traumas, we are going to be enlightened. So when we feel our traumas, when we come up against them, that's when we need to stop. Stop running, stop pretending, and feel it. It's very uncomfortable. If we do that, though, it's going to move us into higher cognitive places, higher access. We gain access, this is my belief, my personal experience, we gain access to the light, gain access to God, whatever you want to call it, universal divine knowledge, through our shadow. It's not, we don't gain it without it. It's through it that we get, it's one, it's all one. So the deeper we can feel our pain, the more access we have to the light. And the deeper we go in our shadow, the more access we have to our light. It's the equal and opposite. So here on Earth, this is the Earth school. We're not getting out unscathed. So my advice for spiritual practices is to face it. Face the fears, face the shadow, go on your own hero's journey, become your own hero, like cross the thresholds, listen to the calling of your greatness. And to become an inspiring person, you have to face all of the limiting beliefs, all of the traumas. There's no way around it. That's the practice. It's a practice. And it's like so much bigger than just meditating or having crystals or lighting candles. And I do all that too. But for me, it's like it comes up in inopportune times. Just when you wish life could be easy or keep going or be normal, you're faced with the most horrendous situation you could imagine. Life throws the curveball at you and you're tossed into grief and despair and fear and anxiety. Those are the moments where spirituality is made, right there in those moments.
Very nice. Well, any of your family members eat like you?
Nope, not at all. No, I'm the only one. But I have children, and my children see what I'm doing, and they appreciate it. They think it's cool, even though they're not. They want to fit in and be normal. So I don't put any of my stuff on them. I don't have any desire to convince people of things. Is the thing. I'll talk about it, but I'm not trying to convince. I'm just trying to say this is what works. This is the truth. Let's peer behind the curtain and see the truth. Like, do you want to see it? Hey, if you're ready to see it, here it is. It doesn't matter who it is, family, friends, people on the internet. I'm going to just talk about it either way,
Wow. But since you went vegan for the animals, maybe are they interested in that aspect of it?
My kids are not vegan. For instance, I had in my 20s, I remember going to Thanksgiving dinners with my girlfriend's family at the time and getting in fights with the family members at the dinner table because I was so hardcore vegan, and so I've done that version, like being up in arms about the cause, which is an incredibly important cause. But my approach is really about being the example and not trying to be preachy or even tell people that this is the truth, but it's just the truth speaks for itself, and we can't fake truth. Truth needs no defending or no explaining. So then it's about embodying. I think if we embody the truth and we're not trying to defend it or explain it, people will feel it. So,
sorry about that. There's somebody at the door. Well, this has been very interesting. I appreciate your perspective on things, and you walk the talk, and you can't say it doesn't work for you. That is 100% for sure.
Yeah.
So if people want to work with you, we have the links to your website, to your YouTube, to your Instagram. Is that the best place for people to connect with you, is Instagram and YouTube?
Absolutely. Instagram is the best place to connect with me personally through a direct message on social media. I usually will read and respond to all of my Instagram messages. Also, if you want to learn more about what I do, go to my website, Raw Vegan Rising, and check out the membership tab. That's where Raw Vegan Heroes is, where you can sign up. Look at the price. I offer an incredible incentive if you sign up for a year. It's really affordable. It's an amazing community of 1,000 people who are all here to kind of celebrate the lifestyle of health. Raw Vegan Heroes is not for raw vegans. It is for people who want to feel better. It's for people who want to learn how raw food can improve their life. It's for people who want to use raw food to kind of expand their consciousness or become the best version of themselves, like they've heard me talk about. And that's what Raw Vegan Heroes is for. It's for a community. It's for support. It's for accountability. It's for inspiration. It's for knowledge. It's for celebrating this lifestyle. And I recommend to people to just join Raw Vegan Heroes for a year and be a fly on the wall. Don't do anything. Don't act. Don't try to figure it out. Just see what's going on. Listen to my live streams. Ask a couple questions maybe for the first 6 months. Maybe not. Just observe. That will give you so much nuggets that will change your life just by doing that, just by listening, observing, and being part of it. Truly. And then if someone wants to hire me as a fitness coach to build some muscle, if they're really ready to go, you can book a deep dive session with me. That's on my Work With Me tab. And then I'm Raw Vegan Rising on all social media, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, Raw Vegan Rising. You will find me there.
Nice. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been very, very nice meeting you. And I still can't believe you're 50.
Oh, AJ, thanks
or almost so much. 50, close to 50, 49 and a half.
Yeah, and I really honor the work you're doing, and just you are a phenomenal leader yourself for being in this position, giving the platform to vegans to speak and to share the message that's so important to help awaken our world. So AJ, you rock, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shane. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when my guest is Dr. John Tanner. He had a cardiac arrest while running. He came back from the dead, and he started a vegan food delivery service that has now expanded throughout all of the United States. And we're going to show you some of the